2 for 1 Jack, splat, just like that. Bringing you tons of information, that's where he's at. He goes around town covering topics you'd like to know.
Thank you, Lisa. Next up, I'd like to bring up Law Professor Ian Farrell.
Let's not mince words. If what Professor Ford says is true, and we have every reason to believe it is, then what Brett Kavanaugh did was attempted forcible rape. Now, in the state of Maryland, where this occurred, attempted forcible rape was and is a first-degree felony with a minimum penalty of 25 years without parole and a maximum penalty of life without the possibility of parole. But instead of Kavanaugh getting life in prison, the Republicans want to reward him with a life term on the Supreme Court of the United States. And Republicans who support Kavanaugh want to trivialize what he did as youthful indiscretions or high school hijinks. They say Kavanaugh should not be held responsible for something he did as a 17-year-old. But there are thousands of people in prison today across America for things they did as a 17-year-old. They say that he should not be held accountable, should not have to pay the price today for something that he did 35 years ago. But there are people in prison today across the country for things they did 35 years ago. In fact, there are people in prison in Maryland today for committing exactly the same crime as Kavanaugh, attempted rape in the first degree, who are still in prison having done that as a 17-year-old 35 years ago. Those people have paid the price of Kavanaugh's actions, have paid the price of their actions for 35 years, every day. Just as Professor Blasey Ford has paid the price of Kavanaugh's actions every day for 35 years. In fact, it seems that the only person who has not paid the price of Kavanaugh's actions is Brett Kavanaugh. And if Kavanaugh is nominated to the US Supreme Court, it is American women who will pay the price in the rollback of their access to abortions, in the denial of health care coverage under the Affordable Care Act. So if Senator Garner cares at all about the health and rights of American women, if Senator Garner cares at all about the health and rights of half his constituency, he will vote no on Kavanaugh and ask for Kavanaugh's name to be withdrawn. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to bring up Portia Prescott.
Good morning. I want to thank everyone that has taken the time off work, time off your family, time off to be here today to listen to some of the women and all of the people across the nation who are saying it is time that we start standing up for women. I'm a native of this beautiful state and I was born and raised in Denver, Colorado, and we are living in a different time where it's time to stand up for women. And I say this because in 1991 I attended a high school where I was refusally referred to as the N-word. I'm not going to say it. And at the time I didn't attend my prom because blacks were not allowed to attend where they were hosting at the country club where it was hosted. We live in a different time. So for someone to say first, women deserve the right to be heard. If it was 5 minutes ago, if it was 1 day ago, if it was 50 years ago, there are too many women here today who have sat silent, who have quit jobs, who have left universities for fear of being shamed if they spoke up. Do not tell me that Dr. Blasey Ford or Deborah Ramirez are going against the biggest machine known to Earth right now because they're making it up, because it's not true. I believe Dr. Blasey Ford, and I believe Deborah Ramirez, I want to call her a doctor. I do also believe that there needs to be an FBI investigation. Why not? Tell me why. Tell me why. Number 45. Tell me why. Tell me why, Kavanaugh. Tell me why, Cory Garner. 3 days. I remember the case with Dr. Anita Hill, and they gave a 3-day FBI investigation that we are trying to evade right now, to just completely remove. That's not right. Every woman deserves the right to be heard. There deserves to be right to have a federal investigation so that how do we not know that there are more women who are afraid to come forward? There needs to be a federal investigation. And most importantly, I stand here today as a black woman, of a mother of a 16-year-old African-American female. And it hurts my heart to know how many black women I know who have sat silent. Our voice has not been heard because it took, for one of my best friends, it took 5 white women to be assaulted by a predator before her voice was heard because she was the first one. No one wanted to believe her. And I know that there are many African-American women across this country, and I have taken my daughter across this country, and it pains my heart that someone can violate her body, violate who she is, and say, oh, well, why didn't she speak up? And then the machine that she has to face to speak up for herself for being violated. I could not sit and not speak today because I have a 16-year-old daughter that this is what I fear. I fear this more than anything, but her going up against an established, privileged machine of making sure that her as an African-American woman, I have worked very hard to raise my daughter to have some guy try and violate her body, lock her into a room, cover her head, and almost attempt to rape my child. I cannot sit silent, and I do not want Cory Garner to sit silent. He is a traitor. You represent Colorado, you represent women, and we need to remove Kavanaugh from this process. And if they decide, as Trump says today, they're going to move forward no matter what, then he needs to vote no. He needs to vote no. No to Kavanaugh. This is not going away. We will not be silent. And I hope everybody today starts speaking more. No. Thank you.
Thank you, Portia. Thank you so much. Next up, I'd like to bring up Ashley Wheeland of the Colorado Women's Lobby.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all for being here today. I wanted to point out that we do have a survivor's advocate here. So if this is triggering, if there are things you need to talk to someone about, we have a woman named Carmen, and she's going to hang out by the flowers. And so please come and find her. This can be a really hard thing to talk about. A lot of us have been, traumatized and going through it as we even looking at our social media every single day. So as a kid, I was 12, and I was riding the bus, and I got chased by 2 men over here. And I hid from those men, and I got away from them. But that's the moment I remember, and I will always remember being afraid that I could be hurt, and I could be a victim, and I would be a survivor. And I ran, and I got away. So what I'm afraid of, and the thing that I cried about on election night in 2016, I was afraid of this moment. I was afraid of this moment, that we would have a nominee like Brett Kavanaugh before our Supreme Court, and we would have a panel of white men talking to him and not representing what we need, what we as women need, what we as LGBTQ people need, what we as LGBTQ people need, and what we as people of color need, what all of us need. And he has proven that. He has proven that he is not for us, and he is not going to stand up for what we need if he is on the Supreme Court. He is going to take away access to safe and legal abortion in this country. He will do that. He will hurt more and more immigrants. We're already seeing that, and he will do that. He will take away the rights of our LGBT communities. He will say, it's okay to discriminate. It's okay to discriminate. So we need to make sure that our senator, who supposedly represents us, who supposedly says that he represents and wants to support women. He doesn't. Exactly. I love the choir here. But yeah, he needs to vote no. He needs to ask Kavanaugh to pull his nomination, and we deserve a Supreme Court that represents all of us. We deserve a Supreme Court that listens to all of us. And if anything, we know Brett Kavanaugh.
Well, that's what you get when you tune in.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashley. Next up, we have Rosario de Baca.
Buenas tardes. Yo soy Rosario de Baca y voy a hablar primero en español y luego enseguida en inglés. Y el motivo que voy a hablar en español es que los ataques a la voz femenil se han enfocado primeramente en la comunidad inmigrante. Si se dan cuenta, los primeros ataques a las clínicas reproductivas fue en el estado de Texas, un estado que tiene una fama tremenda de racismo contra la comunidad inmigrante y mexicana. Pero no se ha quedado allí, se ha extendido ese tipo de discriminación. Y sabemos todos los que trabajamos con la comunidad latina que muchas veces las mujeres, para conseguir un trabajo, tienen que prestar servicio a los contratistas. Hay tanto abuso entre las personas que vienen a trabajar, tienen sueños, tienen anhelos, quieren hacer algo con su vida. Y por eso se sacrifican, a veces dejando sus propios niños atrás para mandarles para que se sostengan. Y aún cuando somos ciudadanas, no nos tratan tan diferentemente. Mi experiencia trabajando como organizadora comunitaria y como organizadora para sindicatos es que se aprovechan más y más de las mujeres que están más delicadas, las que se sienten menos protegidas, y buscan forma, las personas que quieren aprovecharse de sus trabajadores en diferentes formas. Le dan premio o se hacen sus aliados, pero también amenazan a los hombres que tratan de cuestionar la autoridad y la opresión. Por eso es muy importante que a Kavanaugh no se le nombre a la Cámara de Justicia más importante, porque se supone que allí la justicia es pareja para todo mundo, y este hombre representa lo más exclusivo, lo más privilegiado, lo más opresivo de esta sociedad. Puedo hablar de todas las tragedias y he pasado toda esa semana, como muchas de las personas aquí, con vasca, con asco, con coraje, con ganas de encontrar algo con que romper este muro de indiferencia. Si acuerdan a Pat Schroeder, hace muchísimos años, ella le desenmascaró a la fuerza militar, cómo atacaban a sus propias mujeres, pero también hubieron hombres que atacaron. Ahorita estamos las mujeres diciendo, no, vamos a resistir, no vamos a aguantar. Pero también necesitamos reconocer que atacan a los hombres y son los que tienen más pena, y nadie debe ser preso a ese tipo de hostigamiento. I'm going to try to be a little bit briefer in English, because in Spanish, I'm better at expressing myself. Brett Kavanaugh does not belong in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is supposed to play the leveling field, where we are all guaranteed equal justice. When all the other courts in the land have exhausted our petitions, this is where we can go as consumers, as workers, as individual citizens, to have our day in court. Kavanaugh has proven himself to be anti-choice. He does not believe we have a choice, we have a voice in our own bodies.
Right.
Kavanaugh does not believe that consumers have a right to be protected. Kavanaugh does not believe that workers have a right to safe working places. Kavanaugh does not believe in the people. He is an elitist, and we cannot allow the court to be hijacked by the elite of this country. Plain and simple. When women, I worked as a community organizer, and I was very active in college and also as a labor organizer. And the trauma of sexual abuse is to control and to maintain that control, not only of the woman, but the men that surround that community of that woman, because the men cannot talk. They will fail. And in the workplace, men are given little perks for staying quiet or threatened to lose their job if they speak up for a woman co-worker. So it's not just women standing together. We need to make sure that in the workplace, in the community, wherever one of us is assaulted, that we close ranks. Men and women. And I'll tell you, I find it very, very troubling that women have gone after women who have stepped forward. And all I can say is, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Because if your spouse, your son, your brother, your dad, your uncle, your grandpa, if any of them engaged in abusing other women or children or anybody else, out them, because you're not doing yourself any favors. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And last, I'd like to bring up Carla, one of my favorite people from Color, Carla Gonzalez Garcia.
Hello, everyone. Before I start my little speech here, I want you, all of you, to think about the power of being here right now. I want you to thank your ancestors for being here today. Because your ancestors had dreamed about you being here today to keep fighting for our lives, for our survival, and for our thriving in our communities. So think about that and thank your ancestors that have brought you to this day. Because many of them have died in those efforts. So, in recent years, cases have done around marriage equality, voting rights, and the rights of immigrants and refugees. We've seen rulings on affirmative action and fake health centers that try to prevent women from being able to get an abortion care. What happens in the Supreme Court not only affects us, but also shapes the ways laws are interpreted, we can last for generations to come. So let me be very clear here today. Kavanaugh does not believe you should be able to have coverage so you can afford contraception to prevent a pregnancy. He does not think you should be able to get care that you need to have a healthy pregnancy. And he does not think you should be able to seek a safe abortion if you need to end a pregnancy. This is a shocking set of possibilities for women, where we could lose the ability to manage our health, plan our families, and have safe, legal reproductive health services. We cannot afford to have this man in a lifetime appointment where he will consider countless cases on a number of issues related to whether we as women get to control our own lives, our own future, our own fate. But it is not just his judicial record that should be grave of concern to women in this country. Over the weekend, as we all know, a second woman from right here in Colorado, Deborah Ramirez, came forward, with accusations of Brett Kavanaugh's involvement in an incident of sexual violence. This is after Dr. Ford bravely shared her story on his attempted assault of her when she was in high school. Let me start or rephrase this. I believe, first of all, in survivors. We all believe in survivors. And it is deplorable that Dr. Ford has had to endure in order to tell her story. So, Brett Kavanaugh's record is disturbing on its own. But when you also look at his actions, it is clear that he's not someone that we should trust to be making decisions about the health, the rights, and the safety of all of us. Not just women, but all of us. So, Senator Garner, we demand you to stand with women today in our state. We demand you to halt the domination of Kavanaugh, because women in this country cannot afford to have another sexual predator in the highest court in this land. No other sexual predator. And the women in all of our communities, LGBTQ community, Latinx, Black, immigrants, all our communities here today, we will not stand by silently and allow this to happen. We will resist.
That's absolutely right. I couldn't stand here listening to the amazing stories without saying these are amazing women that are standing against the machine. I don't know a lot of people. When I talk about the Black community, I'm talking about my community. You know how many women are persecuted all the time because they're not doctors, because they're not at Yale, or they're not at these privileged schools. You need to listen, because there are so many women that I stand behind in my own family who have been raped, assaulted, who had no voice, who had no one to speak up for them. And it's very important that we have a Supreme Court Justice nominee that not only represents the privilege, that not only stands up for women's rights, but stands up for minorities, stands up for underprivileged. Because what it does with underprivileged women, what it does for women who are not at the elite, prestigious universities, the elite, prestigious colleges, schools that they attended. We have to think about a justice who stands up for the poor people, who are the masses of the voters. This will not go down the way that Cory Garner thinks it will go down. He must make sure that this man is not voted in as our Supreme Court Justice for the future of our country.
Thank you so much to all of our powerful speakers here today. It's your voices that are going to get us through this battle. Last night, I actually watched the Anita Hill testimony. When I was in the 90s, when it happened, I was a young girl. I saw it on the news, but I had really no concept of what was going on. So I decided I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch this and see, what went on then compared to what's going on now. And there are things that have changed. There are women on the Judiciary Committee now. But so much has not changed. The questions we still ask survivors, the accusations, the fault we put on them still exists. The boys club that protects these predators is still alive and well, and people like Cory Garner, like Trump, are continuing to defend these people. So I want to make sure that we do not get tired. I know that we have been in a long fight. We have been showing up every day with our signs, calling Cory Garner every single day, and it can get exhausting. But the truth is, we are making cracks, and we are pushing back, and if we continue to fight and continue to raise our voices, all of the brave people, I was in DC for the hearings when they started, and people were lined up, just going in there to speak up, fearlessly standing up and disrupting this, because this is not normal. We should not accept this. What we did to Anita Hill is a disgrace to our entire nation, and we should no longer tolerate this type of behavior. And now, in this day and age, we believe survivors, we believe Dr. Blasey Ford, and we will be a voice, we will be loud, and we will make it clear to those in power that we will not stand for this type of nominee to be on the highest court of the United States of America. Behind me, we have these boards here with sticky notes. We sent out a survey for people who wanted to be included on this board, and it's names of survivors of sexual assault. We had over 2,000 responses come in from people, and we were not able to get all of those sticky notes up there, but this is just a little visual of a representation of people who have been assaulted. If you feel comfortable, would you raise your hand if you've ever been a victim of sexual assault? Yeah, and I'm sure all of us, if you have not been a direct victim, you know somebody close, somebody person. This is an issue that affects everybody. Everybody.
Our grandmothers.
So we today are going to continue our fight. We're going to continue our push. Call your senator. Call Cory Garner. Call other senators. Call the Judiciary Committee. Make noise. Keep making noise. Get louder. Get louder. Resist. We're going to have a delegation of people that are going to deliver some petition signatures we've been collecting to Cory Gardner's office. If anybody is interested in being part of that delegation, after we're done here, come on up and we'll gather and we'll go ahead and organize behind that. But thank you so much for coming out here today. Thank you so much for believing survivors. Keep fighting. Keep screaming. This is not done. We can win this fight, and we will win this fight, and we will change the direction of this nation for the better of everybody. Thank you so much.
One more thing, folks. One more thing. I'm here representing the 4th branch, and we are the people. We have the right to oversee our government, and one of my affiliates is the Judicial Integrity Project, where we are looking at the judges here in Colorado in our county, state, and local courts. We want you guys to go to the website. I have cards here if you're interested. It's called the Judicial Integrity Project, and we really want to get the word out. My position is vote no on all the judges in the state of Colorado on the November ballot. Here we go.
Yeah, sorry.
It's 2 for 1 Jack, splat, just like that. Bringing you tons of information, that's where he's at. He goes around town covering topics you'd like to know. Well, that's what you get when you tune in to the 2 for 1 Jack Show.